Everyone wants to feel strong. Everyone desires a deep, unshakable confidence. We all chase a life that feels successful, one where we stand tall, capable of handling whatever comes our way with a sense of purpose and calm. We see these qualities in the people we admire, the athletes, the artists, the leaders, and we imagine ourselves possessing that same inner fortitude. It is a universal human aspiration, a quiet longing for a version of ourselves that is less fragile, more resilient, more fulfilled. We dream of the results, the victory lap, the moment of arrival where everything finally feels earned and secure. But there is a fundamental disconnect between the destination we envision and the journey we're willing to undertake. Nobody wants the process. Nobody wants the long, unglamorous hours of practice, the awkward first attempts, the feeling of being out of your depth, the sting of repeated failure. We want the muscle, but not the burn of the workout. We want the wisdom, but not the discomfort of confronting our own ignorance. We want the successful business, but not the sleepless nights filled with uncertainty and risk. The process is messy, it is difficult, and it's often painful. And so we look for shortcuts, for easier paths, hoping to get the prize without paying the price. This aversion leads to a critical misunderstanding about the nature of growth. When we finally attempt something meaningful and it feels hard, our first instinct is to think we are doing something wrong. We interpret difficulty as a stop sign, a warning that we are on the wrong path, or that we simply do not have what it takes. We believe that if we were truly meant for this, it would feel natural, it would feel easier. This single belief is the reason so many promising journeys are abandoned before they even truly begin. People give up not because they are incapable, but because they mistake the very feeling of effort for a signal of failure. The truth, however, is the exact opposite. Difficulty is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is the ultimate confirmation that you are doing something right. It is the friction that proves you are moving forward, not standing still or sliding backward. Resistance is the necessary ingredient for building strength, whether in the gym or in your character. The strain you feel is not a punishment. It is the feeling of your own potential being forged into reality. It is the unmistakable sign that you have left the crowded path of ease and have begun the climb towards something uncommon, something truly your own. The most significant shift in your life will not come from a sudden stroke of luck or a perfectly executed plan. It will not happen when the world finally decides to stop throwing challenges your way. The real transformation occurs in a much quieter, more internal moment. It happens the instant you learn to enjoy difficulty. This does not mean you suddenly crave pain or hardship. It means you begin to recognize difficulty for what it truly is, a powerful tool for your own evolution. You stop seeing it as an obstacle to be avoided and start seeing it as the very process that is making you stronger. When this internal flip happens, your entire world changes. But it is not because life miraculously gets easier. The challenges will still come. The setbacks will still happen. The world will remain as unpredictable and demanding as it has always been. What changes is you. You become more capable, more resilient, more composed in the face of pressure. The weight does not get lighter, but your capacity to carry it increases. You stop waiting for the storms to pass and instead learn how to navigate them with a newfound sense of self-trust, knowing that each one is an opportunity to grow. This is the central thesis we will explore. We will dismantle the modern world's obsession with comfort and convenience an obsession that feels good in the moment but quietly sends the bill for it later in the form of weak confidence and quiet regret. We will look at how comfort, while feeling like a friend, often acts as an enemy to your long-term growth, keeping you in a state of fragile potential rather than allowing you to develop real, durable strength. We are going to unpack the mechanics of how difficult things shape you into a more reliable and self-assured person. Throughout this journey, you will not find complicated theories or fleeting motivational hype. Instead, you will be given practical examples and simple, powerful reframes you can start using today. These tools are designed to help you shift your perspective, to stop asking, "How can I escape this?" and start asking, "What is this trying to build in me?" You will learn to see discomfort not as a threat, but as your most valuable teacher. By the end, you will understand that the dividing line between an average life and an uncommon one is drawn at the point where a person stops running from what is hard and decides to lean into it. Table of Contents, Part 2. Section 1. Why most people avoid difficulty. 1. The seduction of a frictionless world. 2. The slow drift into weakness. 3. The hidden cost of comfort. Our modern world is a masterpiece of convenience, meticulously engineered to remove every possible point of friction from our daily lives. From the moment we wake up, we are surrounded by solutions designed to offer immediate gratification with minimal effort. Food arrives at our doorstep. Entertainment is delivered on demand. That ensures we never have to endure a moment of boredom. Communication is instant, connecting us across continents, without the patience required for a letter or the focused attention of a long conversation. Everything is optimized for speed, ease, comfort. This relentless pursuit of a frictionless existence has fundamentally rewired our relationship with discomfort. We have been trained, subtly but powerfully, to see any form of difficulty not as a natural part of life, but as a flaw in the system, a problem to be solved with a better app, a cleverer shortcut, or a more potent distraction. The struggle to focus on a single task is met with a quick dopamine hit from a social media feed. The effort of learning a new skill is abandoned for the passive consumption of someone else's expertise. In this environment, discomfort has become an anomaly, an unwelcome intruder in a world that promises seamless ease. The result is that we no longer see difficulty as a teacher. We see it as a threat. Our nervous systems interpret the strain of effort as a danger signal. The feeling of being mentally stretched, the burn of physical exertion, the vulnerability of emotional exposure all trigger an internal alarm that screams for retreat. We are conditioned to seek the immediate relief of comfort, to return to the familiar baseline of ease. This isn't a conscious decision to be weak. It is an instinct cultivated by an environment. We are like astronauts living in zero gravity, where the absence of resistance causes our muscles to atrophy. We are so busy optimizing for comfort that we have forgotten that friction is not the enemy of progress. It is the essential force that makes growth possible. Without it, we remain comfortable, but we also remain fragile. Most people do not make a conscious, deliberate choice to avoid difficulty. It is not a dramatic decision. Instead, it is a slow, imperceptible drift. It happens in the tiny, seemingly harmless decisions we make every single day. It is the choice to hit the snooze button, to take the elevator, to put off the important but challenging project. It is the decision to scroll. Each choice in isolation feels insignificant. This avoidance feels completely harmless in the moment. What is the real cost of skipping one workout? What is the harm in putting off that uncomfortable phone call until tomorrow? The immediate payoff is a feeling of relief. We tell ourselves it's a temporary reprieve, but later rarely comes. This pattern of choosing the easier path becomes a habit, grooving a neural pathway in our brain that makes comfort the automatic response. The drift is so gradual that we don't even notice. Over time, however, the cumulative effect is profound and destructive. The muscle of discipline begins to wither. Our confidence becomes brittle and hollow. We start to doubt our ability to handle hard things because we have so little proof that we can. The person who intended to learn an instrument, write a book, or get in shape is slowly replaced by someone who is an expert at finding reasons why today is not the day. This slow erosion of our capabilities culminates in a quiet, gnawing sense of regret. It is the background hum of knowing we are capable of more, but having settled for less. We look back and see a landscape of good intentions and abandoned projects. The comfort we chose day after day was never free. It was a loan taken out against our future selves, and the bill has finally come due. The allure of comfort is that its benefits are immediate and its costs are deferred. The benefits are immediate. The costs are deferred. When you choose the easy path, you are rewarded instantly with a sense of relief, pleasure. The anxiety of the difficult task vanishes. The strain of effort is replaced by the pleasant numbness of distraction. This immediate gratification makes comfort feel like a wise choice. It is a powerful and seductive illusion. But this transaction is not what it seems. Comfort feels good today, but it always sends the bill later. That bill doesn't arrive in the mail. It manifests as a weakened character and a more fragile mind. Every time you sidestep a challenge, you rob yourself of an opportunity to build self-trust. You cast a vote for an identity that says, "I am someone who backs down when things get hard." Over time, those votes accumulate, solidifying a self-perception of being incapable and unreliable. Your confidence becomes dependent on external validation and easy wins, leaving you utterly unprepared for the inevitable moments when life refuses to be easy. Think of it like a financial debt. Each small act of avoidance is like making a tiny purchase on a credit card with an exorbitantly high interest rate. The initial pleasure is real, but the debt compounds silently in the background. One skipped workout becomes a week, then a month. One avoided conversation strains a relationship. One postponed project becomes a mountain of overwhelming work. Eventually, you find yourself in a deep hole of weakness, regret, and anxiety, wondering how you got there. The answer is simple. You were sold the short-term pleasure of comfort, without being told about the long-term price of fragility. This is the dangerous paradox of our modern obsession with ease. In our quest to eliminate all sources of discomfort, we have inadvertently created a new, more pervasive kind of suffering, the suffering of a weak and untested spirit. The comfort that felt like a sanctuary becomes a prison. The bill for a life of ease is always paid, and its currency is a quiet sense of what could have been. Difficulty is not a punishment sent to break you. It is a forge designed to build you. Its primary function is to transform your raw potential into reliable strength. When you deliberately step into a challenging situation, you are conducting an experiment on yourself. The hypothesis is simple. Can I handle this? Every time you endure, persist, and survive the discomfort, you gather irrefutable proof that the answer is yes. This is how self-trust is born. It is not a feeling you can generate through positive thinking or affirmations. It is a quiet, steady confidence earned through lived experience. It is the deep, internal knowledge that you can rely on yourself when things get hard. Consider the real-world example of making an uncomfortable sales call. The moments leading up to it are filled with resistance. Your mind invents a dozen reasons to procrastinate. You need more coffee, you should research one more thing. Maybe email is better. This is the voice of comfort begging you to retreat. But when you ignore it, pick up the phone and make the call, regardless of the outcome, something profound happens. You survive. The anxiety you felt did not kill you. The potential rejection did not break you. You proved to yourself that you are stronger than your fear. That single act of courage becomes a foundational brick in the structure of your self-trust, making the next call just a little bit easier. This principle applies to every area of life. When you commit to going for a run, even when your entire body is screaming for the couch, you are not just training your cardiovascular system. You are training your mind to follow through on its own commands. You teach yourself that your commitments are not negotiable. Each step you take on that run is a vote for a version of you that honors its promises. This builds a powerful feedback loop. The more you prove to yourself that you can handle the discomfort of discipline, the more you trust yourself to take on even bigger challenges in the future. Confidence, therefore, is not a prerequisite for taking action. It is the byproduct of it. It is built by surviving discomfort repeatedly. Each hard thing you do is a deposit into your self-trust account. You are not thinking your way to confidence. You are earning it through action. You are slowly, deliberately constructing a version of yourself that does not need external validation because it has been tested and tempered in the forge of difficulty. Beyond building trust, confronting difficulty is the most effective training ground for emotional control. In our comfort-oriented world, we are conditioned to panic at the first sign of internal distress. Anxiety, frustration, boredom, uncertainty feel like emergencies that must be extinguished immediately. We reach for our phones, turn on the television, or find some other distraction to numb the feeling. This constant avoidance means we never develop the capacity to simply sit with an uncomfortable emotion. Observe it, understand it, let it pass without letting it control our actions. Engaging with hard things forces you to break this cycle. Having a hard conversation with a loved one instead of avoiding it is a controlled environment for emotional training. Get defensive, shut down, lash out. Because you chose to be there, you get to practice a different response. Practice listening when you want to interrupt. Practice breathing when anger rises. Practice staying present with the discomfort of vulnerability. Emotions are signals, not commands. You can feel them without being ruled by them. This training in emotional regulation is invaluable. Life will present situations that are stressful, frustrating, painful. If you have no experience managing your internal state, these moments will feel overwhelming. You will panic. You will make impulsive, fear-driven decisions. But if you practice sitting with small discomforts, boredom of a long task, frustration of a complex problem, anxiety of a public presentation, you build tolerance. You widen your window of emotional endurance and remain calm when stakes are high. This is the quiet superpower of people who face difficulty. They stop panicking when things go off plan. They've been there before. Pressure feels familiar. Through repetition, they can function effectively, think effectively, and act effectively even when uncomfortable. They're no longer slaves to emotional whims. Facing small voluntary hardships prepares them for large involuntary ones. They become the calm center in the storm, not a leaf tossed by the wind. Section 3. Building your identity, one hard choice at a time. Ultimately, what you do shapes who you become. Your identity is not a fixed, predetermined trait. It is the sum total of your habits and choices. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to be. When you choose comfort, you are casting a vote for an identity that is fragile, avoids challenges, prioritizes short-term relief. When you choose difficulty, you are casting a vote for an identity that is resilient, courageous, committed to growth. These votes, cast daily in the small, unseen moments of life, are what construct the person you see in the mirror. This process of identity formation is practical, not mystical. You do not become someone who doesn't fold by simply deciding to be that person. You become that person by repeatedly choosing not to fold in situations that invite you to. Each time you finish a workout you wanted to quit, you are not just exercising. You are becoming someone who finishes what they start. Each time you choose to focus on deep work instead of succumbing to distraction, you're not just being productive. You're becoming someone who can control their own attention. Think of the person you aspire to be, someone who is disciplined, trustworthy, calm under pressure. That person is not born, they are built. They are built during the early morning alarm. They are built when they choose the healthy meal. They are built when they admit they were wrong. These are not grand, heroic acts. They are small, consistent choices to embrace a momentary discomfort for the sake of a long-term identity. You are literally forging your character in the crucible of these daily decisions. Over time, as these votes accumulate, the identity begins to solidify. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is trying to be disciplined. You simply see yourself as a disciplined person. It becomes part of your self-concept. You have provided yourself with so much evidence of your capability and resilience that you no longer question it. You have become, through the slow and steady practice of embracing difficulty, the very person you once hoped you could be. Section 4. The familiarity of the fight. Perhaps the most profound change is that it stops feeling so personal. For most people, a setback or a challenge feels like a unique and unfair affliction. It feels like the universe has singled them out for punishment. Their inner monologue is filled with questions like, why is this happening to me? Why does this have to be so hard? This perspective makes the struggle feel heavier and more isolating. It amplifies the pain and makes quitting seem like a reasonable escape. This is the mindset that keeps people trapped in mediocrity. But when you voluntarily and repeatedly lean into hard things, your relationship with struggle changes. It becomes familiar. The feeling of resistance, the burn of effort, the pang of uncertainty are no longer strange, terrifying visitors. They become regular companions on your journey. You start to recognize them not as signs something is wrong, but as indicators you're operating at the edge of your abilities. You are in the growth zone. The fight is no longer a personal affront. It's the price of admission for meaningful achievement. The drama dissolves. This shift is the key to unlocking extraordinary resilience. When difficulty becomes familiar, it loses its power to intimidate. You have felt this before and survived. You have been tired before, you have been frustrated before. You have been lost before, and you found your way through. This history of small, conquered challenges gives you a calm confidence. You stop wasting energy on complaining or feeling sorry for yourself, and instead ask, okay, this is hard. What's the next step? It becomes a problem to be solved, not a crisis to be endured. That is the moment your life truly shifts. It is not when the world stops being difficult, but when you stop being afraid of difficulty. The struggle is no longer dread, but a familiar, welcome part of the process. You see friction as the sculptor's chisel, chipping away what's not essential, revealing a stronger you. The fight becomes normal. And when the fight is normal, you become capable of achieving things that once seemed impossible. Section 1. The mental shift from escape to engagement. This brings us to the most crucial part of the journey. This is the flip. The mental shift that separates enduring from growing. The point where you learn not just to tolerate difficulty, but to genuinely enjoy it. Enjoying difficulty doesn't mean you love suffering. You don't seek hardship like a masochist. It means you recognize what difficulty is doing for you, not just to you. Seeing a challenge as a burden, seeing a challenge as a tool. The decision to look at the very same uncomfortable feeling, the burning in your lungs, the anxiety before a presentation, the frustration of a complex problem, and assign it a new, more powerful meaning. Interpret discomfort as a signal of progress, not a signal to stop. Strain becomes proof of commitment. You are in the arena. You are on the path. Difficulty becomes the reward, the raw material of transformation. This mental flip changes everything. Your internal monologue shifts. Old script, I can't do this. This is too hard. New script, this is training. Those three words turn misery into purpose. This reframing isn't self-deception. It's profound self-awareness. The discomfort is the mechanism of growth. You're no longer a victim. You're an active participant in your evolution. You choose to see what others avoid as your greatest ally. It's not just a change in thinking, it's a new relationship with life. The most significant consequence of this mental shift is that it changes the fundamental question you ask yourself in moments of hardship. The default instinctual question is, how do I escape this? This question immediately frames the situation as a trap. It sends your mind scrambling for the nearest exit. Procrastination, distraction, surrender. It is a question rooted in fear and avoidance, and it will always lead you back to the comfortable, stagnant ground. It is a question that guarantees you will remain exactly where you are. But once you learn to see difficulty as a tool, the question changes. You stop asking how to escape the situation, and you start asking, what is this building? This new question is a game changer. It is rooted in curiosity, purpose, long-term vision. As you feel the urge to quit a workout, asking, what is this building, might lead to the answer. This is building discipline. As you face the anxiety of a difficult task at work, the question might yield. This is building resilience. The answers provide you with a compelling reason to continue. Practicing this becomes a micro-habit. In any moment of struggle, you pause. You consciously replace the escape-oriented question with the growth-oriented one. At first, it will feel forced, but with repetition, it becomes your automatic response. You retrain your brain to see opportunity where it once saw only a threat. You start to understand that the path to the strength you desire runs directly through the very feeling you used to avoid. The question is no longer about survival, it is about construction. You are not just getting through it, you are building with it. One of the most potent reframes you can adopt is this. This is where most people quit. When you feel the intense desire to give up, to take the easy way out, You can recognize that feeling not as a sign of your own personal weakness, but as a universal landmark. This feeling of wanting to stop is the very same feeling that causes the average person to abandon their goals. You can be like everyone else. You can turn back. Or you can take one more step. You can choose to be different. In that single moment, you silently separate yourself. You do not need to announce it. You do not need an audience or applause. It is a quiet, internal victory that is more meaningful than any external recognition. You are proving to yourself that you are not like most people. Every time you lean into difficulty, you cast a vote for an uncommon life. You are stepping over a line that most people are unwilling or unable to cross. This is not about arrogance. It is about a quiet, personal commitment to your own potential. It is about understanding that the life you want exists on the other side of the discomfort. The moment of maximum resistance is also the moment of maximum opportunity. It is the price of entry to the next level of your own character, and you have decided to pay it. This reframe turns a point of pain into a source of power. The struggle is no longer a reason to stop. It becomes the very reason to continue. It is a signpost that reads, "The path to mediocrity ends here. The path to strength begins." It is a confirmation that you're on the right track, precisely because it feels hard. You are doing what others will not, and therefore you will eventually have what others cannot. A deep, earned confidence and a resilience that does not break under pressure. As you practice these reframes day after day, something remarkable begins to happen. A new kind of confidence starts to form within you. It is not the loud, brittle confidence that comes from easy wins or external praise. It is a quiet, deep, and unshakable confidence that comes from a history of carrying weight. You have proven to yourself time and time again that you can handle hard things. You have an internal library of evidence, a collection of personal victories that no one can ever take away from you. This earned confidence manifests as a profound sense of calm under pressure. When life inevitably throws a real crisis your way, a job loss, a health scare, a personal betrayal, your reaction is different. While others might panic, you find a familiar stillness within you. You have trained for this. The countless voluntary hardships you have faced, workouts, difficult conversations, focused work sessions have been dress rehearsals for this moment. You have practiced being uncomfortable, so the discomfort of a real challenge does not overwhelm you. Life stops feeling so overwhelming because you have already proven you can carry weight. You know your own strength, not as a theoretical concept, but as a lived reality. This creates a sense of self-reliance that is incredibly liberating. You are no longer desperately hoping that the world will be easy on you. You are focused on becoming strong enough that it doesn't have to be. The challenges that would have once seemed like insurmountable mountains now look like manageable hills because you have been climbing all along. This is the ultimate payoff. It is about forging a version of yourself that you can fundamentally trust. It is the peace of mind that comes from knowing that when the storms of life arrive, you will not be a leaf tossed in the wind. You will be an oak tree, rooted deep in the ground of your own hard-won strength. You have carried weight before, and you know with a quiet and certain confidence that you can carry it again. In the end, it all comes down to a single defining choice. Everyone in this world faces the same fundamental forces. Everyone feels stress. Everyone experiences fear. Everyone encounters resistance. The world does not discriminate. It is the great equalizer. What creates the vast difference in outcomes is not the nature of the world itself, but the nature of our response to it. The average response is predictable. When faced with the discomfort of a challenge, the average response is to avoid it, to delay the necessary action, to numb it with cheap dopamine, to scroll, to binge watch, to consume. It is to distract the mind. This response is a cycle of retreat. Then there is the uncommon response. When faced with the same stress, this response is to consciously step forward. It is to remain present with the discomfort. It is the decision to carry the weight of the task. And ultimately, it is the commitment to finish the task. This response is a cycle of engagement. This is the dividing line. The vast yawning gap between the life you currently have and the life you deeply want to live is not empty. It is filled entirely with discomfort, awkward conversations, the grueling workouts, the frustrating learning curves, the terrifying risks. The people who cross that gap are not special. They are simply the ones who made a decision. They are the ones who stopped running from hard things and started walking toward them, one deliberate step at a time. So, what is the next step for you right now on this day? The beauty of this philosophy is that it does not require a dramatic, life-altering overhaul. You do not need to wait for a surge of motivation. You do not need to first build unshakable confidence. You do not need to wait for the perfect conditions. Those are just sophisticated forms of procrastination. All you need to begin this transformation is one thing. One hard thing. It does not have to be monumental. It is better if it is small, manageable, and almost invisible. It could be the 5 minutes of meditation, the single uncomfortable email, the 10 push-ups, choosing to read a book for 15 minutes. The size of the task is irrelevant. What matters is its character. It must be something you would rather not do. You must do it daily. This is not a suggestion, it is a rule. And you must do it without negotiation. Your mind will offer you 1,000 brilliant reasons why today should be an exception. It will tell you that you are too tired, too busy, or too stressed. You must learn to treat that voice with a benign neglect. You hear it, but you do not have to obey it. You simply do the thing. This is the entire practice in its most elemental form. One hard thing, done daily, without negotiation. This is how you begin. Do not worry about the life you want to have in 5 years. Focus only on winning the small battle against comfort that is right in front of you today. Learn to enjoy difficulty, to welcome the feeling of resistance as a sign that you are on the right path. Because on the other side of it is not an easier life, but a stronger you, a version of you that does not break.